Hello and welcome to my garden and the dinosaurs who live there. We're on Sunday the 12th of November and it's a bit of a cold one, but it's a nice day other than that. And as you know, we're coming to the end of the season really, if not reached the end of the season. And it's a sort of time that I use to look back and think about what has been successful in my growing season and what maybe hasn't been so successful. And in doing that, I thought it might be good to ask some other garden YouTubers about their thoughts on their most successful harvest, their best harvest this year, as I was thinking on what my best harvest should be. So in this video what I have, it's a collaboration between myself and 3 other garden YouTubers that I enjoy watching very much, and I'm sure you will too. And we're going to talk about the harvest that's been our most successful or our best harvest in 2023. So let me hand over to the first of those YouTubers, and you'll see the 3 YouTubers in a row talking about their harvests, very different harvests in fact, and why they have found them to be the best. And then at the end I'll chat through what I see as being my best harvest. So I hope you enjoy this video. Sit back and have a look at the successes of these 3 wonderful YouTube gardeners.
Well, you're right, guys. Mags has asked me what is my best harvest of this year, 2023, and I initially thought I'm going to tell you what vegetables weren't my best harvest, even though they were very good, and why. Now, potatoes were terrible. Potatoes weren't good at all. My worst year ever potatoes. Forget about that. Move on. Cucumbers. I've had more cucumbers this year from 3 plants over there in a little grow bag. I've just picked these not 5 minutes ago. But no, it's not going to be cucumbers. No, squash. Squash have been very good. These Zephyr squash, I think I've picked 31 off 1 plant like this, all this size. I've been giving away so many that my neighbours avoid me now in the street. I'm going to go with tomatoes. Not because of the volume so much, even though I have very, very good yields. Tim's Taste of Paradise is an exception. That was incredible. I've never seen so many tomatoes on 1 plant. I reckon, conservatively, 300. Anyway, but I'm saying tomatoes because of the sheer variety. Now, in the past, I've grown 1 or 2, let's call them strange ones, different ones every year. But this year, a lot of my friends in Canada and America, they sent me seeds I've never heard of before, and I've grown them, and I have had some fantastic taste in tomatoes. I've had 1 or 2 duffers as well, but that's by the by. So I'm going to say tomatoes. I'm going to show you a few shots of some of my tomatoes. It's easier to explain. I grow all of my tomatoes outdoors, even though they are indoor varieties. There was one this year that was in the greenhouse, but that was a rogue one in a chili pot. There's some weird and wonderful ones. Black ones, green ones, red ones, yellow ones, pear-shaped ones, plum-shaped, beefsteak, cherry, and even some normal-looking round ones. That cluster one in the centre is called Rice Tomate, the Traveller's Tomato, one of the nicest tomatoes I've ever tasted. And these are the Tim's Taste of Paradise. I think I'm going to say there was more like 500 tomatoes than 300. And despite the fact that my tumblers in the baskets finished very early this year, I've still got plenty off them. I've made so many things with the tomatoes this year. Ketchup, sauces, curry bases, tomato bread and so on. And the ones on the right there, pickled cherry tomatoes with rosemary, very nice. And of course I had to do my tomato taste tests. I started off doing these quite some years ago, mainly for my own purposes, to remember what they tasted like. There's no good writing it down, you might as well film it. And it's something that's just carried on over the years. There's some lovely ones this year. Like I said, there was a few that I won't ever grow again. And with all these heirloom type tomatoes, I've done more seed saving than I've ever done before. Where they are then, Mags? For me, it is the tomato. Take care.
We've been asked by Mags to contribute to this collaboration on what was the best this year, and I had without hesitation had to say we had lots of wins, but actually the asparagus was something we were waiting for such a long time, and it really didn't disappoint. It was the star of this year. So let me show you quickly what the asparagus beds look like right now in late October. So this is one of our asparagus beds, and it hasn't been actually weeded whole summer, and that's how much weeds do we have. So it's not, this is something which can be sorted out. We have one bed on the other side in a much shady position. Because it's a spring crop, it doesn't matter so much because they crop equally good. And there is a clip actually I'm hoping to incorporate into that, which shows the beginning of the year. Now this is our first year cropping. We bought 30 asparagus crowns, which are supposed to be all male, of 3 varieties, and look at the quality of the stems on them here. And well, they're not entirely all, as you can see, the ones with the berries are the female, which are slightly maybe not as thick, they would say, as the male ones. But you know, really it doesn't, I don't think it matters so much. So this year from early April till we didn't go all the way till 21st of June, but the 31st of May, we've been basically gorging on asparagus. We cropped every second day with, I'll put on a screen, the harvest, and we really, you know, at it, you know, in a sort of sustainable and sort of with seasonable way. So we don't buy asparagus during the year, but when the asparagus season comes, well, this year we absolutely gorge on it, and we had some to give away too. So it's really very worthwhile crop. It's high value crop, low maintenance crop, and I would say probably least problematic. It's got not as many, we had to put little wire along this because we do have rabbits coming on and deer, and that's about it. It kind of takes care of itself as long as you give a feed in the autumn time, some compost on top, and it prevents, you know, the ground some nice and warm underneath of some mulching, and put the ferns down on top of that, and just wait for the next crop to happen. I would say the best thing we ever did. So that is our contribution to this collaboration, and I would say if you have space for at least one asparagus bed, do it. Bye.
If Max had asked me a year ago what my favourite crop was, what my favourite harvest would have been, it would have been tomatoes. I think the year before it would have been beans, and the year before that it would probably even been potatoes, because I think each year as gardeners, I would like to think, and it has been for me so far, we find something new to get excited about. And for me, this year it has been something that I would have never dreamt of having as a favourite thing even 2 or 3 years ago, because my favourite harvest of this year has been not a fruit, not a vegetable, it has been flowers, and they have been my gorgeous, gorgeous dahlias. Earlier on this year I was sent a dahlia collection which consisted of 12 different sorts of dahlias, not only different colours but different sizes, different varieties, and I found myself appreciating what a huge variety there are out there, and there are so much more to discover. And the reason I am calling them my favourite harvest is because I don't think a week went by over the summer months where I was not leaving the allotment 2 or 3 times with a huge bouquet, a huge bunch of mixed dahlias, either for ourselves or for friends, neighbours, family. And okay, you can't eat them, well, I wouldn't recommend it, but the joy that they continued to give once you got them home was just priceless. And so for me, my favourite harvest this year has had to be my dahlias.
So for me, I had a few successes this year, I'm pleased to say, and one of those successes was my potato harvest. I did really well, mostly with my potatoes, but actually that's not what I would class as my best harvest this year. Excuse me. My best harvest, I would say, was my squash harvest. And that's twofold, I suppose, because firstly it's my first ever squash harvest. I haven't really done much squash growing in the past, or not winter squash anyway. But the other reason is it actually was a quite successful harvest, more successful than I expected it to be. And I now have a house full of winter squash dotted about, waiting it out and waiting for me to get round to eating them or preserving them. So I created a squash bed 6 feet by 6 feet, and I actually put 5 squash plants in there, so I know I was I was putting a little bit much in, but I put in 2 of a variety called Muscade de Provence, and they grow large sort of greeny fleshed, or greeny skinned, squashes. And I put in 2, now I'm going to say this wrong again, I think it's ukichikuri. And they're orange, sort of smallish winter squash. And I put in a single Blue Hubbard, which is a sort of strange looking, sort of almost like peanut shaped squash. And they all grew like wildfire. The squash bed, when I came to harvest, actually had the squash plants had ranged all over the squash bed and way beyond, probably double the size of what the original squash bed was. But as they grew, I could see or as the plants grew, I could see we were getting lots of lovely squash. So yeah, I can't be prouder of them actually. My first time growing them, brand new bed, and yeah, very happy. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and enjoyed seeing what my own and Steve's, Malgosia's and Jane's best harvests were. If you haven't already tuned into their channels, please do so. They are a wealth of knowledge and they have great YouTube content, and I'm sure if you haven't already watched them, you will really enjoy watching them. I've put the links to their channels in the description against this video. So I'll finish off now. I just want to say a thanks to Steve, Malgosia and Jane for providing the content, and a thanks to you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. But for now, bye bye.